Hello, Betty.
Hello.
Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
Now, we talked about this album before. It was in the making and working on this. Tell us a bit about the genesis of this very original project. Where did you come up with the idea?
Actually, I work on a play and have some research to do, and that play was of Mice and Men of Steinbeck. So they asked me to find some song from the 30s. So I started to search, and slowly I found one slave songs, and two and three, and then on, and it started 16 years ago. It's about 16 years I wanted to do this album, and after a couple of years finding those songs in many different ways, I choose to take all the songs been recorded by the Lomax family, Alan Lomax especially, who was an anthropologist, yeah.
Anthropologist, yeah.
Anthropologist, very known in United States, and I decided to choose mainly the song he recorded in prison, in the field. He was recording that everywhere he could, you know. So that's the genesis of that project.
But why were you fascinated by some of these? They're slave songs, chain gang songs. What was it? Why did you think I really want to do these in a sort of more modern fashion?
First of all, when I heard this song first time, I heard all the Motown. I heard all the soul from the black people, from the music I loved. And I listened when I was young because my parents were listening to that. So it really surprised me. Why those songs today and doing them modern? And why it's simple? Because I think that we are in the same place humanly talking than 100 years ago. We never change.
That's a kind of depressing thought.
No, it's not. It's the reality. Is not negative, is not pessimist, is the reality. I think that slavery is not finished yet. My mother, she's coming from Serbia, so the south of Balkany area, and all those people from the ex-Yugoslavia were slaves of all the European empire for 6th century. So the slavery was very, very, I was very touched about that. And I find something very similar between the people from the Balkan and African people. I mean, I found something similar on the people who have been people who have been put on slavery for empires, for money, for multinational, you know, thinking. So I found something similar in my research of the slave song and the condition of the people from the Balkan. And this was my own analysis because I speak Serbian, and then the fact that I was speaking in English too, I could make this connection for me between those two peoples. And that's why I made this album, because I think that we are in the same situation than 100 years ago, but the landscape and the technology changed. That's the only thing that's changed. Humanly talking would not really progress.
So you're taking these slave songs and chain gang songs from 100 years ago. How would you describe the way you do this musically? How do you make it relevant for an audience in 2014?
I took all the texture from today's, the electro, the synth, the sampling, the big sound, very bassy, very drummy. And this is the way I modernize them. Put the sounds of today's and make songs around them, because all this choir, male choir, was created just by singing. There were no music around. Nobody make any kind of music around those songs. So modernize them is forgetting all the texture of the roots. There's no guitar on my album, no banjo, no ukulele, nothing folkish, but really keep them in an electro vibe, like very Berlin, you know, from Berlin electro, something very raw. And that's how I modernize them.